All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast, and today we are coming super prepared. We came up with a topic for this about 47 seconds ago. No, I'm kidding. I came up with a topic a while ago, but these two dipsticks
an hour ago.
Dad's first one.
Good job, Dad. Congrats.
Won't even listen to it, so they have no clue what's going on. I don't give a shit whether they are even a part of this anymore.
Oh, it's a Friday, baby. Dad is on one.
So,
let's go. I'm excited to hear this podcast.
Did you get some peanut butter?
I did get some peanut butter. You see, we have major issues around here with sweets.
What's your
name?
And
the fact that
you better
Warren
remind
eats
people.
all of the sweets. So if you're ever around,
trying to help
if
you
you're
guys
ever
stay
around the
healthy.
raised hunting community at all, and you have some food that you brought along and it's missing, right there.
That is a valid assumption.
He will eat it all and never replace it or anything like that.
Our grandpa back in the day
That's
called him a
not true. I got
can.
you.
No,
I got you cookie dough for Christmas.
Because he bought me cookie dough for Christmas and then ate it all, that was doing something. That does nothing. That served no purpose whatsoever other than to feed his gut.
I have no idea how you can handle it. That would make me so angry.
It does. I just leave.
I bought you some Subway cookies the other day.
2 out of thousands. Thousands you have stolen from me.
Because I'm trying to help you get more intelligent. Because you always leave them on the island. You should know by now.
That is not someone's intelligence that they set something down.
If you do something over and over and over and you keep getting the same result, you should change what you do.
So you're telling me.
So you should stop eating them because every time that they're around, you eat it.
If you go park a car in the hood and you leave it unlocked, and every single time your car gets stolen, don't you think maybe you should then lock the car?
Perfect. You just gave me a wonderful idea. That is the actual example I was going to use for you.
Okay.
But thank you.
All right.
And people, because you forget to tell people, his name's David.
You didn't let me get it there. Get there. I haven't introduced any of us. All right, guys. So I'm David with Raised Hunting, and I don't even know what to call it today. I don't know whether to introduce them or present them or whatever, but Warren and Easton are here as well. And
we're his kids.
Yes, Warren's the thief. So
I'm Dad's kid. Warren is something else.
But today, before I get to the topic of what we're going to talk about, Warren's got to do his daily or his shout out chores, and then Easton, you got a story today, or we go through all? Oh, you got them.
Jeremy Rubsick.
We're almost through all of them.
He's the man. He's here. He says, "Anteaters rock. Keep them coming, Warren." I agree. Anteaters are pretty sweet. Butchbeard 6311. He says, "Awesome, great podcast. Thanks for the stories." A lot of people really enjoyed this one. Brian Sheffield 7037. Great episode. I know that most of these stories were misses, but I'm sure you all learned something from them. I really enjoyed hearing your stories about these deer. Eric Boards 1209. Great podcast. Felt like being at deer camp in May. God's General 924. Great podcast again. I'm finding myself looking forward to your podcast every week. I'm going to have to send you pictures and the story of my January 2024 PA bull. That's cool.
That's really
I
cool.
harvested with my brothers Jeremy and Jason. Maybe I will get lucky enough to make the board.
Did he? Wait.
Whoa. So what we've just discovered here is that Jason is a loser.
He's a holdout.
Yeah.
He's got the story of a lifetime. He's got a bull that he killed in Pennsylvania.
No.
And he ain't sharing it.
No. He is Jeremy's brother, their other brother.
Wait, we have 3 Rubsicks?
Well, he said, I harvested with my brothers, Jeremy and Jason. We obviously know Jeremy Rubsick.
Right.
I don't know about Jason.
Well, is that...
Jason's a stalker.
No, he's not here.
Do we know the name of his brother that joined recently?
I don't know if he has mentioned his name yet. But he said he's Jeremy's brother.
Yeah, I know.
So he's not going to refer to himself.
It could be one of the other 2. We could have all 3 potentially.
I don't think we do, though.
No.
David Harrison, 97.
That's my
31. Dude. Ordered the wife some strobe knocks. I love mine. Will never shoot any other kind ever again. Love y'all.
Just saying,
love David.
He's gonna regret when he gets that gets that in the mail.
Why?
Because I put something in there for him. And
you didn't send him your wisdom teeth, did you?
No, I ran out of those.
Nick, you got a shout out too. Jeremy said, again, and I have to commend Nick for including video and pics during those stories. Makes for great content.
Good job, Nick.
Good job, Nick. I agree that.
I wonder if it was the right ones.
We'll never know.
Yeah, no one would know unless. But Nick just throws whatever he wants.
Did you tell him that? One was not the right one.
Oh, really?
See,
What was it?
Figured.
Morphe?
No, the very first one that I talked about, the huge deer that we didn't really chase. He put in there the one that we called like stickers or whatever, which was a big deer, probably like
he was 160.
165.
Yeah, but that's a big
170,
difference compared to what you were talking about.
Oh, I showed it to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah."
You made Warren look like a liar. Oh, sorry, didn't turn my
T.
Well, it's somebody calling the store.
There's probably someone listening to the podcast.
Can I speak now? T-Rom 1994. David and boys have the best show on the internet. Right way to hunt from a faith, family, and traditional perspective. Appreciate you, T-Rom 1994.
Thank you.
He's a man. All right, that's all I got for right now.
All right, Easton, you're up.
I have two.
Two? Just do one.
One is
Save it.
One is one sentence.
Oh, well, that might be kind of brief.
Yeah.
What the hell did he smoke this morning?
I killed a big deer, and I sent you a picture. Here it is.
He lifted. That's what he did. His orange hasn't worn off yet.
I didn't need an orange.
Oh, what'd you take, Coke?
Oreos?
No, I have got.
Pepsi?
Okay, some of us are taking this wedding seriously, and I'm preparing for this wedding.
No, you're not.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
We're just going to go ahead and get it out there now.
To do what?
Be in shape for your wedding.
Why? Who's going to see you?
Mom? That matters to me.
I didn't care.
Jackass.
You suck, you jackass.
Yeah.
That's a dumb
He's really
question.
concerned about his health.
I get one a day.
That's his recovery drink.
Yeah.
Let's go work out and let's just slam some sodium right in our arteries.
Okay, Mr.
I'm 28.
Yeah, and you're not going to get
55.
you're not going to get to say what I'm about to tell you.
What?
I just went and bought my jeans because Alyssa texted Mom and told us what we needed, and so we went and got them.
Okay.
Right? And I'm wearing a size 32 waist at 56 years old. I'm 55, but I'll be 56 next month. Bring it.
You want to go have a bench off?
That's unfair.
If we can use dumbbells, I will.
Okay. We can use anything you want.
I can't do a barbell. I can't do it with my shoulder, but I can do dumbbells.
Loser.
You definitely
Either
got
way.
him fit on the beat oh my gosh, you definitely have him beat on the fit side.
He's never been fat, so he doesn't know what it's like.
Yeah, you have been fat.
Exactly. I know what it's like. I can sympathize.
You should be getting in shape for your wedding. It's your wedding.
She needs to marry me for who I am.
You are so dumb.
Oh boy, you let me know how that works out.
It's going to work out just fine.
Warren's going to Hey, everybody mark this because June 1st is the wedding. A year after June 1st, let's see if Warren's let himself go yet.
He
doesn't have to go much further.
I was just going to say, this is me let myself go because I've eaten cookie dough and everything else.
Roasted. Okay, I have stories. Here we go. First story, Cody Brettle.
Can you read? You need me
Not
to read
well.
it for you? I know.
I'm the first person to admit I'm a terrible reader.
Oh, we all know.
That's
Go
gonna
ahead.
hurt
Do
my
your
feelings.
zoophonics.
Now you won't do it.
Sound it out.
I love your guys' podcast. Listen to it every week. Shot this buck this last fall in Wisconsin using raised scents. They work wonders. Thanks for all the great info. So that's Cody Brettle. Smart man using the raised scents. This one is actually a story. This one is Brendan Brett. Really appreciate everything y'all do every week. Love the podcast. I started listening about a year and a half ago and have been hooked ever since. I grew up and live in Texas and have hunted here my whole entire life. I'm 23 and shot my first doe in Texas at 8 years old. Recently, my dad and I bought some property in Kansas with my uncle and family friends that live in the Kansas-Missouri area and have been hunting that property for the past 3 seasons now. It was a drastic learning curve from the Texas whitetail hunting over the corn feeders to hunting Kansas in the Midwest where mature bucks are not typically showing up at a feeder during daylight hours. The Raised Hunting podcast taught me so much about whitetail hunting in the Midwest and how to adjust my entire thought process to chase these old mature Kansas whitetails. The one podcast specifically led me to success on my hunt this year was called The Calling Strategies. when to call episode. Hunting in Texas, I had rarely utilized rattling horns, much less a grunt tube. In the stand in Kansas this year, I utilized both with helpful tips from you guys and sealed the deal. I shot my buck on November 11th, another good day, in the heat of the rut. I knew he was in the area and had seen him running some does earlier in the morning around 9:30 a.m. Everything started to slow down, but I knew he was in the area, so I hit the grunt tube a couple times, and next thing I know, he walked out in front of me at 18 yards, and I made it happen. Luckily, it all happened so fast I didn't get a chance to get too amped up, and I drilled him. Buck fever and getting overly excited is something I struggle with while bow hunting, and I would love to hear an in-depth conversation about how each one of you guys individually handles buck fever. Brendan Brett.
That was a good topic.
Have we done
that?
We've done it once, but I think it was before he had come on.
Yep.
And I actually wrote that down in our podcast list to do again. So, Brendan Brett, if you go scrolling, you'll probably find it. But we appreciate you sending that in. And I'm sure that as we keep rolling here, we are getting away from the thunder chickens and into the four-legged brown critters. So, we'll be talking about them relatively quickly. And that's a good topic. Appreciate you.
Cool. Is that everything? We can talk about what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, this is probably, sorry guys, this is probably the longest intro we've ever had.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this topic.
Yeah, Dad has a whole new outlook on podcasting now that he's been listening to Joe
Yeah,
Rogan.
he listens to them now. He's like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Well, I'm getting some windshield time. I need something. So
Windshield time.
All right. So anyhow, the topic today is the learning curve, the hunting learning curve, because it has changed dramatically. And whether has it changed for the better or has it changed for the worse? These guys have not been privy to this, so I think that we're going to let them try to answer what their thoughts are on it and what you feel, how you feel about it. But it's a big difference compared to what I dealt with.
As far as what? As far, like, what do you mean when you're asking us?
So when I'm asking you guys,
because we're in the new generation that gets to learn the way we get to learn. But I have an answer for that.
I think it's way easier now. Got to be way easier.
I would agree with that statement that it's way easier. But is it that much more effective then? You say no? I think I tend to agree.
Well, I guess
I say, well, first off, we should have, I don't know who you'd bring in, but you should bring somebody in who is kind of not had somebody teaching them. Because for me, just about anything I do in my life, I have the ability to, whether I know how to do it or not, I can go on YouTube and figure it out pretty quick.
That's
when it comes to hunting, I haven't had to do that because I've had you that you're always with us our entire lives. I couldn't tell you. The only thing I think I've ever learned hunting-wise from YouTube would be learning about coyotes because none of us do it. So I think we're already, I guess, boosted because we have you hands-on being able to teach us different things versus, the other things I might look at, some stuff is like planting things, but that's about it. So I don't think that it's changing that much for me specifically. I think this generation has seen a big change where they can use these YouTube things. They can listen to things like our podcast or other guys' podcasts that are talking about them. But I also think it's a massive information overload if you're not careful and not all quality.
I think that so what I'm trying to do is the same thing kind of as far as I'm separating hunting and anything else I've ever tried to learn because I don't have a very good application if I use hunting because you did teach us everything. So we already knew a lot of that. So I'm trying to think of other things that I've utilized the internet and online items to help me learn. I'd say the very first thing would be qualifying who you listen to.
That is, I think that's a topic of its own.
Because is where I really think about a lot of stuff is things that I've tried to figure out in the business world or marketing and stuff. And you get a whole bunch of dudes that tell you, they're driving Lamborghinis and all this other shit. And then after you actually go and do it, you find out they were full of shit. They have no idea what they're doing. And they went and rented a Lamborghini for a weekend and made some money off you. Yeah. And there's a lot of guys that say stuff with hunting too that you can tell if you really have done it, they don't have any idea what they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, if you do get that information from somebody who knows what they're doing, I don't think that it's an end-all, be-all, meaning that you can just listen to what they said and go out and apply it, and it's going to execute perfectly. But I do think that you can take that information and it can help you cut down the learning curve, because now you have the insight to try something that you hadn't thought of before, and now you're starting to learn it way quicker because you had those things. So like when I think of certain things that I do on other stuff in the business stuff, there's certain things that I'd figured out how to get to this point, and then I couldn't get much further on my own, and then I saw something, I was like, oh, I could try that. And then it worked or it didn't work, but either way, I had something new that then continued on that process. I think that hunting could be a little bit harder because you don't always get direct feedback. Most of the stuff that I do, I could try something and then know that definitely did not work.
Yeah.
Or it definitely did work, where hunting could be, you could go do something and it doesn't necessarily mean it didn't work. There just wasn't the deer weren't moving that day or whatever it was.
You could learn from the internet how to rattle, let's just say, right? And you could go do it and nothing shows up. Well, maybe you did it in the wrong place. Maybe there's no bucks there. Maybe they didn't hear you. Maybe other people have been doing. There's all these different factors that factor into that. So that it's not as so I guess that's what I'm getting at is learning from the internet is great. I think it's super helpful. I think that, I look back when I was growing up, there was no internet, and everything you did was learning on your own. Not 100%. We could still go to a pro shop. If you needed to learn about shooting a bow, you could go, but you would have to physically go there. You couldn't pull up. I think that one of the greatest things that you have now is you have this at your fingertips. So you can be outside shooting your bow and you're having an issue, whether it's punching the trigger, whether it's something to do with your form or whatever. And if you do know of a good person that you can rely on, you can go and pull it up. And while you're doing it, you can actually practice that. And you see what I'm saying? You're looking at something and saying, okay, my form is incorrect. I can fix that. Then the fact that you have the ability to record yourself and things like that, and look, and if you're honest with yourself and say, okay, am I doing it right or am I not? There's a huge.
Well, I think that can become an issue though too, because then sometimes there's a right way to do something, and I think there's times where you need to not worry about what the right way is. If it works better for you, that's what you need to do. For instance, a really easy one for me is handheld releases. Like I see all these guys that Levi Morgan and all these guys that are incredible shots, and they're all using a thumb release or a handheld release. And so I've tried to get myself, I don't know how many times now, to shoot a thumb release. And I shoot an index release really, really well. Like better than 99% of people overall, not any of those. And actually he's the one that said it the one day. He's like, why do you keep trying to do this? Why do you keep trying to shoot a thumb release? Because I just don't shoot a thumb release as well as I do an index release or a hinge.
He's like tweaking with it.
Yeah, I'm always messing with it because I can't get it right and comfortable and where I'm shoot better than my index. And I'm like, basically just because I see all these other people and he's like, well, what does that matter? I'm like, it doesn't really. The only thing that makes me feel like it matters is if Levi Morgan, I'm a big believer in if somebody's better than me at something, there's a reason that they're doing that, and I should be humble enough to look at what they do.
You're willing to try to better yourself.
Yes, and so I'm like, they got to be doing it for a reason. And Easton's like, you shoot so well with an index. Why would you even mess with that? Especially now, it's not like you just tried it for a week. You've been messing with it a long time, and you still can't master it or get to a point where you shoot it better than your index. And I think that that's a really wise statement, because if I wasn't seeing that everywhere else, I'd probably never even pick up a handheld release. There was no reason to.
Right.
So that's something I see as an outside influence that
I don't know.
If you need to think for a second, I have another one.
Well, I have things to say. I just feel like they're random. I don't like, for me, like the example I use is coyote hunting. I don't even watch videos like I was listening to podcasts, I was watching videos, I was doing all kinds of things trying to learn. I don't touch any of it anymore because the more I was learning was simply calling things. Like, and I wasn't even learning about hand calls or anything. I was learning about using an electric caller, which I wasn't using. So I didn't learn, like the best thing I could learn was just hearing what other guys have done. And finally it does not pertain to me where I'm at, and I didn't get any better whatsoever. And that was from me listening, like taking notes and going and doing these specific things to try to be cautious and do all these things to be successful within coyote hunting. I haven't learned anything off of that stuff besides just common knowledge, or like just knowledge I could learn and use. The more I've learned is by going with friends that know what they're doing.
Experience.
That when they're out there, you're learning hands-on with them, and that has resonated with me immediately. I was able to go with them, and then the very first time I went alone, I called a coyote in completely on my own again. So, and that's going off of 40, 50, 60, pushing hundreds of stands on my own and stuff, trying to learn these things and maybe calling one here and there.
Well, I think it's because if you don't have a base, if somebody's never shot a bow and then they watch a YouTube video of us talking about how to make sure that you're applying back tension into your shot,
You're going to have no idea.
they're going to be like, what the hell are these people talking about? And it's really not going to help them in any way, shape, or form. They first need to understand how to get a proper draw length and a bow that fits them.
And how to draw
before,
it.
And their eye dominance.
Yep.
Like at camp, we don't ever take kids and we're immediately showing them how to be using back tension and shooting with two eyes open and making sure that your stabilizers are correct. And a lot of times I'll even tell other instructors, there'll be a kid they'll try to correct so many things that then the kid just can't do anything.
Keep up with it, right.
Because you're trying to just tweak them on everything. And I just tell them, like, hey, just let them just get through one or two things and get some routine and then tweak one thing at a time.
Because start building on it versus just tearing it all apart.
Yeah, because then they just don't know where to go next. They're like, okay, I have absolutely no clue what to do, and then I'm trying to think about 17 different things all at the same time. I mean, just let them at least get some arrows downrange and then get something consistent. And as long as they can do that, it doesn't matter. But, I mean, I think you can look at anything. There's one of the best shots in the world, shoots with his feet and his teeth.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to be able to say that anything is proper form.
Well, that's the other issue, or I guess I shouldn't say issue, but like hunting is not a right or wrong thing. There is almost nothing besides if you broke it all the way down to, is it legal or is it not? And even that can be argued.
Or
what's
ethical
right
or
wrong.
not.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not anything that is the right way or the wrong way. So number one, when I go listen to the different people, like what you said, validating a person or seeing what their credentials are, the moment anybody says you have to do it this way or this is the only way to do something, I'm out. That right there just told me that I don't care how good your credentials are, I'm not going to listen to you because you only have one school of thought. So I'm going to go listen to the person who says, hey, this is what I do, and this is how I do it, and this is why I do it. You don't have to do it this way, but take the things that I'm telling you and use them to your advantage. And I think there's so many people out there. It's so easy to make a podcast. It's so easy to make a YouTube channel. It's so easy to get content out there, film with your phone, that there's every Joe Blow out there saying all kinds of things that we go listen to. Maybe one blew up and it's on my For You page or something. I'm thinking that they know what they're talking about. If I don't know anything, I don't know how to take that out and take it with a grain of salt, basically. That's where I think it's almost become harder for people to learn than it has easier.
When you should
because it almost will set you backwards, especially if it's not a good.
Oh yeah, if you learn how to do something wrong and you start doing it and practicing it, especially when it comes to like shooting, then you could have some serious issues. So you have to. I think the biggest statement that you made there is validating where you're getting your resource. And I think the thing that we try to do with raised hunting is we try to explain to everyone, this is just our opinion. We don't have the set. We've been successful at doing lots of different things, turkey hunting and whitetail hunting and bear hunting and elk hunting and calling animals. But I know other people that have been successful too, and they do things slightly different than we do.
But you all have something in common with that. That no matter where you're at right now, you've started at something and you failed miserably.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you that I've gone through every phase. I've had almost with each animal, I've had phases with of learning different things to be better at or to stop screwing up. And that's where your experience comes from.
So what are we trying to say, though, that we should be comparing this to before there was
I'm just
online,
trying to see. We're in 2024 right now, and I'm trying to understand where people are getting their knowledge from. And then I'm wondering, because it seems like after the COVID deal, we got all these new hunters. We got lots of new people that I think the multitude of them are not introduced from their dad or from their granddad or a relative or someone that is, bringing them up in this. They're just looking to try to figure it out themselves. We saw that at Field to Fork. When we're out there, there were several of them that showed up that just wanted to try to feed themselves. Where are they getting their information? I think the state of Iowa does a pretty daggone good job with a program like that. The Field to Fork program, for people that aren't familiar, is just a state-run program, I guess, our group, where they actually, if I remember correctly, didn't they give them all a bow and then they had the option to buy it at the end?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's multiple. There's
right,
a couple different parts in the state that do it.
Right, and then we participated in helping with the group that was here, and trying to give them some information. There were some other volunteers there as well. So
let's just think real quick, though. So I think this will help us speak more clearly to this if we kind of define a person. Okay, so let's just say, and I'm assuming that maybe this is what you're speaking to. Let's just say that I'm a new hunter after COVID, and or I've decided I want to spend more time outdoors, and I don't have anybody in my immediate family that hunts, and I want to get into whitetail deer hunting. Where is the first place that person is going to go to get any information? And then two, what do you think, where should they go?
I know what I do.
Biasly, I would tell them, check out Raised Hunting.
What does that mean?
I think that we offer a lot of different stuff. We offer a podcast where you can listen in on different topics and things like that. But we've also done a lot of learning videos that are on our YouTube page or on our website.
Okay, so you're saying online.
So yeah. I'm saying that is a good place to start, but that is not, in my opinion, I don't care whether you're listening to us or someone else's podcast or someone else is going somewhere else online. You're going to need to get into the field at some point. Whether you hunt just to start off, it could be just going out there and listening, going out there and sitting for the first time. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. You guys were fortunate enough, you probably don't even realize how many hours you guys had in the field before you ever had a weapon in your hand.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because
I know, because I remember saying, I'm done watching Dad shoot stuff. I want to shoot something.
Yeah, but that's where it starts, is you need to be you guys got to, I'll go back to the elk hunt where I had you with the decoy. You're getting to experience what is going on. I'm not going, Warren, I'm going to hit a call right now, or Warren, I'm going to do this. That bull's hopefully going to do this. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing what we're doing, and you're getting that live right there.
Okay, but let's keep it. So go to what you were going to say.
My first thing is what I probably should not live my life by, and I don't say that I live it by it, but I do use it a lot, and that is, it is not what you know in life, it's who you know. Because the first thing I'm doing when I want to get into something new is I go through my brain or contacts, whatever else, and I start thinking of who I know that does something in that field or that expertise. And from there, I'm calling them. Ask them the questions I'm trying to get, or get some base knowledge or whatever I'm trying to learn from. And then from there, I'm going to my next step. Whatever I learned from that I know I need to go get something, or I need to go buy something, or I need to go set something up. Then I go do that. And then when I have the next question or something, I think about who's the next, or go back to the same person. But that requires you networking. I mean, I don't network, but I enjoy talking to people. I have no issue talking to people, but I also know that there's a lot of times we meet people that I'm probably never going to have like a very good friendship with, I should say, or like where I'm going to be hanging out with them every weekend. But I like talking to everybody because you never know. When that one dude that came up to you and said that he does this, that, whatever, and you met him 2 years ago, hey, I got a question for you, because you remember who did it or who did something that is relative to something you're trying to learn. And I think that those people are 10 times more valuable than any video, any internet, anything, because they've been there, they've done it, and especially if they have a personal connection with you, they're going to help you for the good of what you're trying to do.
I think when it comes to the hunting space, I think that the internet should be second. I think that I agree with you. I think the very first thing you need to be doing is you need to be trying to get around people that are doing what you want to do. And then from there, the second thing that you need to do is you need to validate them. Meaning that, for instance, if somebody, hopefully we don't have too many people on here that are like school teachers or something, okay? But if people are telling you how you should live your life and what you want to go do, and they've never done what you want to go do not listen to them. That's what I would tell you. I don't give a shit what they say. So if you want to make $100,000 and they've never made $100,000 and they're going to tell you how to make $100,000, I'm not listening to a single word that person says. If you want to go kill a 170-inch deer and somebody's never killed a 170-inch deer, don't go listen to that person.
It's a good thing we don't talk about how to kill specific 170-inch deer, because I would not be on this podcast.
I'm just trying to provide an example. So I think the very first thing that you would need to decide is you're going to have some of your own. You're going to have to be somewhat independent and decide what are the things that matter to you. Meaning that, do I want to be a respectful hunter? Do I want to just shoot at stuff? What are the things that are important to me? And then from that point, now you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, especially in 2024 when it's weird for people to go talk to other people, which I think that's actually a little overblown. I think people default to the easy thing, but the human connection will never go anywhere. And so then I think from that point, now you need to get into the archery shops and outdoor stores or fishing or anybody you know, and be finding somebody that has killed a lot of deer or has whatever it is that you decide that you want to try to emulate. Get around that person and then be trying to ask them for mentorship.
That has got to be the number one.
I think that, I mean, what you're describing is what we try to tell people when you're trying to find an outfitter. You need to have a list of questions, things that you would ask an outfitter, because what you're trying to do is qualify, is this a good outfitter for me? Because you could be an outfitter, and I start asking you the questions about going hunting, and I'm not saying you're a bad outfitter, but your way of doing it is not fit to what I'm looking for. Yeah. Some guys are looking to kill the biggest. Some are looking for somewhere in the middle. Some are looking for the whole experience. They want to have good dinner. They want to have breakfast taken care of. They want to hunt out of a shooting house or whatever. There's all kinds of different ways of looking at it. And I think what you're saying is, and that is what I was trying to get at, was that the internet is, you got to be careful because you can't, it's harder to qualify that.
You don't know what information is good information, what information is bad information yet.
Correct.
Or it gets to a level yet that where you don't have enough of a base to understand any of those things really. And I think just when we're talking hunting in particular, hunting is a very, very difficult one that you're going to be able to watch a video of and then go and do it. Yeah.
You said something in there that made me think that I have a perfect example of what I've been doing recently that I would recommend for anybody trying to learn or trying to get into. And that's, now that I'm thinking about it, pretty much exactly what I've said I've been doing. And I'm not trying to keep reiterating on coyote hunting. That just happens to be the one I am learning. Aaron, which I normally don't say names, but Aaron's my boy. He was a guy I met a while ago that had told me he does coyote or predator hunting and everything, and he actually works for a couple different guys that do like contract stuff where farmers will say, hey, we need to get rid of a bunch of these predators or whatever. We just met each other at a trade show. I kept his card and information and everything, and right there was that was probably 2-3 years ago, and it wasn't until last winter or this past winter that he had reached out to me and, hey, you want to coyote hunt sometime? We're going to be in the area or whatever. I'm like, oh, heck yeah. And right there, I was able to, the tip that I would get, or that I liked what Warren said, was knowing your second step of what you're doing. So right there, I knew I had somebody who has done it, and would be able to teach me something. And number 2, I was able to go do it with them. And I would say even the better thing that I did, because everybody, the hunting industry or the hunting community is very, very protective a lot of times of hunting spots. So what I was able to do, none of us really coyote hunt. I was like, hey, Aaron, if you don't mind, I really want to learn some of this stuff and do something that I can really like apply to my specific situation so I can learn this and understand. So we went on our properties. He had a whole plan to go to all his own places and stuff that he had. Said, let's go to mine. They have never been hunted or like coyote hunted or anything. And so I was able to go with him and just observe him and watch how he's calling, where he's setting up, what he's doing, and different things. But the one thing I kept at the forefront, and if he listens to this, he's going to be like, what the heck, was I knew that he knew what he was doing because I've seen the pictures that he's killed. I've seen the stuff that he's done as far as videos and things like that. But I was validating why is he doing it this way? And could I kind of, I guess, validate the reason he did it this way is correct or not correct, or could you do it a different way? And so then I was able to basically sit there and say, okay, he called coyotes in for us. We got shot, so this worked. And then we would go on different sets or something. I don't know if I would have done it this way. Or he did. He called and called and called. I don't think that I would have done it this way. So now I can take those situations that I'm seeing there and go apply them to myself and say, hey, in this pretty similar situation, my buddy Aaron was doing this, that, and the other, and it didn't work. I'm going to do what I think I should do and try it, and you're either going to fail miserably or you're going to have something that is like, holy crap, it worked. And now you're another step ahead. You just learned something massively because you went and experienced something that does work with somebody who knows it works and made it better.
That's called a Tillmanism.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it's not actually called Tillmanism. It's from a guy that wrote a book.
Tillman Fertitta.
He's a billionaire. He started the Rainforest Cafe.
Yep.
That
freaking
restaurant in Vegas.
No, it's everywhere, bro.
Yeah, and they got toucans flying around in there and stuff.
Real life giraffes and elephants walk through.
Yeah, his rule is shut up and listen. Yep. So if it is someone that you validated, somebody that you know knows what they're doing and that they understand what they're talking about, his rule, he calls it a Tillmanism. He has a couple rules, but one of them is shut up and listen. Don't run your mouth. Don't act like you know what you're doing. You need to shut up and just listen to whatever it is that they tell you, and then you do it. And then if it doesn't work for you, now you can adjust. But you'd be shocked, and I can tell you from first-hand experience, because I have not shut up and listened a whole bunch of times, and it, like you said, you'll fail miserably. If you want help on that 170-inch deer.
You should hit that green button right now because that was pretty impressive.
I do that all the time. You know that. Like when I get around somebody that, like a teacher, sure, I may tell the teacher, I'm not listening to you. You haven't done what I want to do. But somebody else, we have a good friend that all of us know really well. If he tells me something, I shut the hell up and I listen. And I listen very closely because whatever he's telling me it for a reason. And it's insightful. And whether I think it's right or not, I just do it because he's already been there and he's already done that. And then you'll find there's usually somewhat of a reasoning to it.
Now, I will warn you, because I 100% agree with what Warren is saying. I have done this a little bit with listening to the people who have done what I'm trying to do. And there's going to be times where things are not going to go your way. And you're going to have all sorts of situations where you're trying, and it's not working. It is hunting. So at a minimum, like when he tells me to do something or Dad tells me to do something, whether I agree with it or not, I'll either argue him on it as to why I don't like it, which is just because that's how we are, or I'm going to try it, and I'm not going to just try it once. If I try it the first time and it freaking works, great, wonderful, it worked. But more times than not, it's hunting. It's a chance. It's probably not going to happen every time. So if I try, for instance, rattling, doing it one way or another, I'm going to give that 2, 3, 4 different good, correct situations and opportunities to try it out. And if I'm still not having success, then you can change and do different things. But you got to give it more than one chance than just stepping out in the woods and listening to somebody and doing it and expecting it to work, because it's not always going to work. It's not going to work for them every time.
Yep.
Hold on, because I think one of the things that the internet and television can misguide someone on is the fact that what ends up happening is, and we're guilty of this, but it's a portion of what you're putting out there is entertainment. So what we do is we cut out a lot of stuff. So it looks like a lot of times that every time that someone goes hunting, they are successful. Every time they rattle, it worked.
Yep.
No one's going to put out, and I'm not saying that no one puts out a failure. They do. We do, as some others I'm sure do as well. But what I'm saying is you won't put out 10 times rattling and it didn't work.
Yep.
And just keep going, because then people...
Nobody's going to watch it.
Right. So what happens is all of a sudden it looks like that, oh, well, every time they do it, it works. And that's just probably not the case. Here's the other thing, as an instructor or as a teacher, if someone comes to you, meaning you're the hunter, and someone comes to you asking questions, I can tell you right now that raised hunting, raising 2 kids, hunting with mom has made me a better hunter, because all of a sudden I have to, a lot of what I've done as a hunter, I just did it and I didn't know why I was doing it, and I never even thought about it. I don't know. And you guys would, I mean, it really starts with they say, what is it? How do they put it? That the kids ask crazy questions, or
no
out
dumb
of the
question is
yeah,
a dumb
out of the
question is a dumb question.
Right. And out would come, why did you do that? And you'd have to think about it, and then try to reflect on that. Well, all of a sudden you start to realize, well, wait a minute, I did that because the wind was doing this, and then I did that same thing another time and the wind was doing that. There's something to this. And you start to realize that you have picked up something, and it could be a super tip, and it could be something that then you apply the next time. So, I mean, I think there's 2 sides to the coin, and that, I guess, I mean, if you're fortunate enough that someone does come up to you at an archery shop or something like that, and they're asking you, they feel like that take that opportunity to get you get better yourself.
That also comes with being self-aware.
I would agree.
Because that means that when somebody asks you something that you don't know,
you just say, I don't know.
I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Or I'm going to go talk to somebody that knows. Or let's go try it.
Yeah.
I think the third major thing, so once you've validated that person, because I do think that it's going to be really important first to make sure that you are finding this person or this source or whatever it is based on what you want. Like what you want your outcome to be. So, for instance, if you don't want to go knock on doors or whatever, you want to hunt public land whitetails all the time, the hunting public may be a better source for you to start with. The Drurys may not be the best source.
Well, it doesn't pertain to you.
What do you mean?
Like if you're trying to do
it's not
pertaining to you, what you're doing.
Right. The hunting public may be a better source for public land whitetails, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to try to manicure your property and create the best whitetail habitat that you can and grow the biggest deer that you can, the Drurys are probably going to be a much better group of people to talk to than the hunting public. Mm-hmm. So you need to know what that is. And then this is the one that I think is probably the most important. After you shut up and listen, and then you start doing what they tell you to, now you need to eliminate your excuses.
Of when you screw stuff up?
No. Because would you...
I can't stand that he does that. He just leaves it buzzing.
There's 2 that I can think of that are really, really good examples. Brooke Martin and Tyler Knott. Tyler killed 4 booners or whatever it was last year, and then this year I know he killed at least another 3. I told him we'd have him back on, and he got a lot of hate. Must be easy when you got thousands of acres. That's all the comments. So people want to kill deer like Tyler, but they're not willing to go and knock on the 75 doors that he knocks on and go and look for deer all summer and then go knock on another 50 doors. Or like Brooke,
or
go and check
his life to move somewhere.
That's what Brooke did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so when Brooke tells you, "Oh, dude, you're in Michigan and you want to," you're telling Brooke, "I want to kill a 160+ inch deer every year."
You need to get a different job.
Yeah, he's going to tell you need to get a different job
in a different state.
Move to a different state. Well, I can't do that. Okay, you're not going to get the same results.
Right.
You got to do what they're telling you to do, because there's a reason that they're telling you to do that. And so at that point, then you have 2 choices. You can either just make excuses about it, or you can just do it.
I learned that one specifically from Brooke. Because no. Well, Brooke's been killing a freaking crap load of big. They both kill such big deer. I mix them up.
Tyler, I got to hand it to Tyler. Tyler has got to be one of the most big buck killing fools.
Yeah.
Of anybody in the entire industry. Yeah. Overall, whitetails. Period. The kid's killed freaking.
Well, that's the thing.
He's like 22,
right?
And he's killed like over 10 booners or something.
Yeah,
had to be over 10. He's killed like 9 in the last flipping 2 years. 3 years.
Brooke was the one that I ate my words on for that exact reason right there. That what it was presented to me of why you'd contacted him or wanted to have him on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, that just is not a thing. You are not going to public land and shooting, number one, this big of deer, this consistently, but not only seeing or shooting that big of deer consistently, but also knowing them from year to year. I'm like, yeah, okay. So right there, I immediately did the
discount
negative, or like you're discounting what they're doing. There's something else to it versus like, okay, well, if he is doing that, then what's he doing? Because then when you talk to him, you'll realize real quick, he ain't blowing smoke. And there's no hidden gems here and there. He is flat out got some
putting in that much more time.
He's putting that much effort into. I mean,
yes,
he's giving up things that other people might not want to give up. Whether it's going to the gym or going to play baseball or basketball or violin or whatever, because what he's doing is hunting big deer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's not knocking on doors. He's just saying, I'm taking the door that's open. This is public, and I'm gonna. And I'm sure he has learned. He probably pulls up to some pieces and goes pointless. Goes to the next one. Because he's already figured out there's certain tips, and those are the types of things that I'm talking about that a guy like him has learned that he probably doesn't even recognize anymore, that he knows what he's looking for right away.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard to teach someone else. I mean, he's learned it through experience until someone quizzes him one day. Now, why did you just walked, instead of walking 2 miles, you killed this deer a quarter of a mile from the parking. What made you do this? And all of a sudden it comes out, well, I recognize this or something like that.
Yeah, like that's what when I asked, I would think you can't be anywhere near the parking lot, which I'm sure that's what everybody thinks. And he's like, sometimes it's
right by the parking lot.
It just depends on where the deer is, and that's what I would tell you on private ground, that he might be on you might be on your northern edge or your eastern edge. Like I don't think you're really gonna be able to move him that much. I wouldn't think that would apply the same to public, but yet it sounds as though it does. So I think where we're going with that then is we're saying that if you can find an in-person, real human mentor, that's probably better to start with.
Absolutely.
I think that the internet can be a great source. I think if I was going to tell somebody, if the internet was your only option, give yourself a base first. Take a beginning archery course. We have one of those on our YouTube channel. A beginning whitetail course. Give yourself the foundation before you're trying to listen to. We would be super guilty of it. Go and listen to some of our podcasts. We're talking about calling tactics, and you don't know that you need to have the wind right first.
Mm-hmm.
Those kinds of things, because otherwise it's just gonna end up being super confusing and probably not work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is a whole another can of worms, but what ends up happening is equipment. That becomes you can waste a whole lot of money. You're going to have to spend some money. That's the one thing about hunting is not cheap. But I don't know of anything that anyone does that is cheap. Golf is not cheap. Playing the violin or being a ballerina or playing softball or baseball or something. I mean, traveling teams and crap like that, it all becomes expensive.
Crack,
I guess, is expensive. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, crack's not cheap, I'm sure.
It's expensive. Crack isn't as much as Coke, but.
Okay, so let's back to the topic. We pardon the interruption brought to you by our sponsor, the Cartel.
You're an idiot. No, but my point is that I think you would have to, because you're going to have some equipment. That becomes one of the things that you need to really be able to trust that person. And that's where a live person is going to be, in my opinion, is going to help you more than. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do your homework and compare things, because there is a ton of people out there telling you different stuff about different things. But every manufacturer is going to tell you theirs is the best.
Well, let's play this card real quick. Let's assume that you could not go talk to another human. Can you find somebody online and then validate them? And if so, how would you validate them? How would you know that they aren't full of shit, that they have done what they are claiming that they have or appears that they've done? Could you do it online?
I don't know.
I'd probably do it kind of like I do with reviews. Like when you're looking at something to buy, everybody looks at the reviews right away before they buy it. I'd probably look at comments and things just to see what kind of crowd may be following him or her. And then from there, see, I guess, what kind of level of what the discussions are and things that people are talking about and how much he's posting different things, or I guess other than that, I don't know how else you're really gonna.
I think you could some. Like let's just say I want to learn about elk hunting, and I go on to and this dude's got an elk course, and so I go and I check him out or whatever, and he's got this course on how to kill elk, and then I go through his Instagram or his Facebook or whatever, and he's got one picture of him and a dead elk. I'm probably not going to take him very serious.
See, I can't do that though, because I know that there's plenty of people that I know that are very successful hunters, whether it's killing big deer or whatever else, that I know personally. But if you go on their social media,
yeah, but are they putting that out on a platform that that's what they're doing?
I know there's two parts to that, but I'm just saying not everybody that knows what they're doing
is going to post it where people can see it.
I would imagine if somebody is posting videos and things like that, taking the time to do those things, they're probably going to have a social media presence that shows what they're doing. So I get the point.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, then you're just a dipshit if you go and you make an elk course and you don't ever post any pictures of showing you killing elk.
Yeah.
Now I would also say though that I think that where the course is coming from would change my view on it. Meaning, if this dude is doing a course on elk hunting and he's just sharing the lessons that he's learning with you and not claiming to be an expert,
right?
He's saying, hey, I've just started an elk journey. I've killed one, or I'm trying to kill one. These are the things that I've learned so far. That could be a great source. I think just some things verifying honesty, where I think you could, if somebody wanted to ask us about deer, they could go through race hunting and see that we've killed more than 5 deer.
Right.
So I think that you could, at least to some extent.
I agree. But the other one I would tell someone too that I would look at, and we talk about it all the time. We've been nice, Nick. Just ruined the whole podcast by dropping.
Restart now.
So, and because how do I put this other than you got to be careful when someone is pushing a manufacturer. And that's the only thing. And I'll use tree stands, for instance. Just because someone just wrote in the other day, I just answered him asking what tree stand were we using in X video. I don't remember which one it was. And basically I answered him, is when it comes to X stand ladder stands, best tree stand that we've ever used. Whether they were a sponsor, and they're not a sponsor, and so that's why I don't have a problem with. But and I say best stand as far as the safest put up stand I've ever, because it has jaws that you can clamp from the ground and then you can climb it. But yet I love hawk stands as far as hang on stands. And that means that I have some experience using those. There's probably some other manufacturers that are making stands that I haven't used that I can't honestly say that one's better than the other. So hopefully you'll get someone that will give you a little bit of both, and not just, hey, this is the only stand there is, this is the only bow there is, this is the only rifle there is, or whatever it is. And if someone's willing to give you and share with you those different options, then I think you're getting a better person to listen to. Especially if they might even recommend, hey, I don't know about tree stands, maybe you ought to talk to Easton. Now you're getting somewhere where now you're building a network of people that you can trust with different variables of different places. Yep. Which I think that leads us back to where this all started, and that is that is so easy now, where that didn't used to exist. To develop what you're talking about as a network of people around you to help you become a hunter, you were really relying on running into that person. You didn't have a way to find them, and except for going to an archery shop or going to a
which was probably a benefit for you guys because it forced you to go do it. Possibly. You had to go to the archery shop, where now you could easily, why would I do that? There's a bajillion YouTube channels and Instagram accounts that I can go and listen to.
And I would agree with that. I agree that could be a downside. But like I said, and you had to do the same thing there. At the archery shop back then, you had to recognize, I don't know if this guy's quite who I want to listen to, maybe this guy is. And especially, typically I would tell you that it was the guy that wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
And I guess now that I think back about it, where I learned the most from archery was from a kid that I went to school's dad. And I didn't know him very well. He didn't go to my school or anything. He went to a different school, and someone told me, "Have you met Rob's dad?" And I was like, "No." Well, if you're wanting to get into archery hunting, that's who you need. And I went over and maybe this is creepy, but I started to walk into their backyard. I called them and told them I was coming over and I bought a bow. No, but they're shooting when I got there, and there's a privacy fence in the backyard, and they're up on a scaffolding shooting. And so I stopped for a minute, and I'm watching him shoot I hadn't knocked on the door or anything, or on the fence. And so I'm watching there, and he's freaking shooting like a ping pong ball at 20, 25 yards. And at the time, I was like, wow. Oh my gosh. Like every time he was hitting it, which I couldn't do, I was maybe hitting a pie plate, which is why I was coming to this guy. But my point is that Rob never told me his dad was that good. His dad never told me he was that good. He just let a kid come in and he showed me, here's some things I would possibly change with your bow. Here's some things that I would possibly do. And all of a sudden I went from not being able to hit anything to at 20 yards, I was deadly, and it was a very quick. He had taken what I had been messing with for a year and a half, trying to learn on my own or from people at an archery shop, and done it in 3 or 4 evenings, and that's really what started me down the archery hunting path. Because if I had continued to not be able to hit stuff like I wouldn't have probably kept doing it. Yeah.
I think a lot of those guys are that way because they don't need external validation of their ability. They know they're good at it, so they don't really care if somebody
absolutely
says they're not.
Not what you know, who you know.
There you go.
Stand by it.
Whatever. Well, I think I do think that we're at a different era. In the learning curve, even though the learning curve for many things is great, that it's on the internet and that there's so many things available, when it comes to hunting, you're still going to need those. You're going to still need that experience. Whether you're getting it from someone else's experience, you're going to need your own. And that means you're just going to have to, it's going to be something you got to spend quite a bit of time with.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Cool. Any other comments?
Don't think so.
All right. So where are we going? Warren's Wacky Facts?
Yeah.
All right, because I got one today.
Just so you know, Warren, you're 17 for 30 right now at a 56% approval rate after last week.
No, the
democracy of the council.
Yeah, changed it all.
He doesn't have anything. He's having to look.
All right, Paul, let's hear it.
I do have them.
Oh.
This one, I would not recommend that you tell your wives. Not a lot of animals go through menopause. Humpback whales, orcas, and human females are the only mammals that undergo menopause. See something in common there?
That was wrong.
That was bad.
It's funny.
That was wrong.
Whales and females.
Now is an okay green.
Koalas might not seem to have a lot in common with us, but if you were to take a closer look at their hands, you'd see that they have fingerprints that are strikingly similar to those of humans. In fact, they're so similar when it comes to the distinctive loops and arches that in Australia, police feared that criminal investigations may have been hampered by koala prints. According to Ripley's Believe It or Not, any koalas who want to commit crimes would be wise to do so wearing gloves.
That was worth it after the Australia part. At
Can you
first,
imagine?
I was like, this is dumb.
Dude, I'm thinking of like breaking into a bank and bringing a koala on your pack and putting his hand on the handle and using his little paw to turn it.
You're an idiot. You know they're really mean.
This is the last one because I thought this is hilarious how delusional these people
He's
are.
going for it.
Prairie dogs kiss. Prairie dogs are quirky creatures for a number of reasons. They're giant rodents. They dig massive interconnected underground homes, and they kiss. While the animals are actually touching their front teeth to identify each other when they seem to be sweetly sharing a smooch, the BBC explains that scientists believe prairie dogs kiss and cuddle more when they are being watched by zoo visitors because they appeared to enjoy the attention. Well, now let me give you a little real wacky fact. They're also flipping cannibals.
Yeah, they'll eat each other.
Yeah.
So let's drop this whole kissing and cuddling shit because you blowing up with a 22 and its freaking daughter will come right out and start eating its body.
Yeah, that is valid. We do have first-hand experience with that one. Joey, numbers guy, we're not adding that one to the total.
How the hell not?
Because it was just you were ranting about it.
No, the democracy didn't know that most prairie dogs are cannibals.
You went 2 for 2 on the day.
3 for 3. You have one?
I have one.
Oh, God, here we go.
I have multiple, but I'm just going to use one because I just thought this was really interesting. I don't know where I came across it, but I was like, do you know that there is a cross between two different types of bears?
A Pizzly bear.
You knew that. But what else? Well, hold on. What's the other name? Because that's what I don't understand. I mean, I understand it, but.
What do you mean?
So they have another name. Pizzly.
The same mix?
Yep, same mix.
I don't know.
A growler.
A growler bear?
Growler bear. Growler.
That doesn't even make sense. Oh, because they're doing grizzly and polar.
Yeah, but this is a cross of a grizzly bear and a polar bear. But did you know that the only ones that typically bear the little ones is the polar bear? Mm-hmm. It's always a polar bear female that has the grizzly, but yet they look like a grizzly.
Yeah, Warren says that I'm biased on these judgments, but for this one, same reason I'd give Warren X's.
It's always
Dad got his first X.
Oh, it's always the polar bear sows that are.
The grizzlies are the ones that mate
the male grizzly breeds the female polar bear.
Are you doing another one or no?
No.
Why?
I have a question, and
What do you
Dad,
mean?
you can't answer this.
Well, half that. Oh, I have another one.
What?
I do. So, did you know that a starfish has no brain?
Yes. Patrick the Star from SpongeBob.
How does?
Dude.
Wait a minute. How does he? Patrick.
Why do you think he's so dumb?
Huh?
I never watched. Yes, you did. I never watched it. I never watched that show at all.
Wow, you were on such a good streak, and then you tried to catch up with your second, and
I'm pretty sure I did that one
Warren
day.
is going to be sitting here like, whoop, we're going to keep on with the judgments. You did do that one day, by the way.
I thought I did.
I have a question that Dad can't answer, because I want to know if you knew this too. I just learned this in the last weekend. Do you know what DJ stands for?
Like DJ in the music realm?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, disc jockey.
Yeah. Somebody said disc jockey. I was like, no way, that's a DJ.
How did you not know that?
I've never heard anybody call him that. I said as a disc jockey, that has to be a DJ. And they're like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm like, I was clarifying with them. I was not questioning. I was like, are you referring to a DJ? Is that the same thing? Yeah. Like, never heard anybody call it a DJ or a disc jockey. Whoever calls it a disc jockey.
It's because they used to actually have to use.
Yeah, they spin discs.
Spin discs, and you were the dude doing it, which is like the guy on the back of the horse.
Yeah,
the jockey.
You could call him an athlete too, evidently.
I'm pretty sure that disc jockey's been used in a few songs, like the term. I think you could look it up in music and find people saying about being a disc jockey.
I don't know.
MC
Go ahead,
Hammer
Nick.
did, I think
He's been waiting.
Nick has one.
Nick has one. What the hell?
Touching a manatee is punishable under
Touching a man.
a manatee.
Oh, manatee. Okay.
Touching a manatee is punishable under the Manatee Sanctuary Act with a fine of up to $500 and terms up to 60 days in jail. So you cannot physically touch a manatee, even if they touch you.
Where did they have a problem with people touching manatees?
Florida.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would love to give you an X on that, but I feel like that might be a one not known. I just know that because I had a friend go there like a year ago, and they said, yeah, they're everywhere, but you actually can't touch them or anything. You'll get in huge trouble. They'll put you in jail.
I think that the same thing applies to giant tortoises that have come up on the beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You can't mess with their nests and stuff like that. I don't know if it's the same gravity of fines, but
I want to go see them things.
A manatee?
Like where they are living in the wild. You go in this, like in Florida, and it's like the clearest water ever. You can see them swimming under your kayaks and stuff. That'd be really cool.
They're big.
They're huge.
They're really big.
All right.
We're out of here. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate it. The Raised Hunting Podcast is now officially signing off.